Hi, I'm Tim. Join me in this video as I'll show you how you can build this kit of the Stevens Aero QuickOats on your own if you've never ever built an aircraft model airplane before in your life. I'll show you how to do it. Let's get to it.
Yeah, no, I want to get the address to his YouTube channel. I wanna land too.
I've received many comments on my YouTube channel from people that says, hey, Tim, I'd really like to build an RC model airplane, but I've never built a kit before. I'm not quite sure where to start or what to do. And it can be a daunting challenge. There's a lot that you have to do. So what I thought I'd do in this video is using this QuickOats model, 3-channel model from Stevens Aero. I will show you how you can build and fly this trainer RC model, even if you've never built a kit before. And there are 3 things that allow you to do that. First of all, the kit is very well engineered from Stevens Aero. They're produced out in Colorado, high quality balsa, all laser cut. Everything that you need is in the kit. The things that you need to add, for example, wheels and a motor and a prop, are listed very clearly. So the kit is an exceptionally well-designed kit to go together for any builder, especially a first-time builder. The second of 3 things that will help you is Stevens Aero gives you a photo-illustrated construction manual. You'll see this throughout the build. You'll have each step numbered here, and each number is accompanied by a picture with a detail of how to do that particular step. So it's a very step-by-step, comprehensive way to put the airplane together. The kits are so well designed from Stevens Aero that there are no plans included in the kits. You simply put it together like a puzzle and everything comes out aligned. The third part of that is this video. This video will take you through it, offer a few insights to how you can do certain things, and you should be able to build and fly an RC model kit even if it's your first time doing it. This is the Stevens Aero model website. The full link is in the description. We go down to RC primary trainers, and there's our QuickOats 250. Click on that. A very nice website, some good pictures of the QuickOats in flight. And then what's really nice is the list of equipment that Stevens Aero recommends to finish it. These all work with the airplane. If they're available, I'd go ahead and get them from Stevens Aero. There's also the full instructions, and I'll go through this in addition with the construction. This is everything you need: the kit contents, the hardware bag that comes with it, required parts, suggested electronics, general assembly instructions, just step by step what you need to build this model. And this comes in a paper copy with your kit, black and white pictures. And what's nice here is you have nice full color pictures if you wish to load this on your iPad or laptop as you're building your model. So now let's take a look at the contents of the QuickOats kit. First, we'll look at the little flyer that comes here. This is what we'll be building. They call it a charming RC park flyer. It's based on the 1939 Quaker Flash, which was a much larger, very popular free flight model from 1939. So take off on Quaker Oats, Quick Build, so QuickOats. Again, 29-inch wingspan, 5 to 6 ounces of weight. This would be a great little kit to build. It's online. I showed you previously where this was on the website, but this is one of the beauties of the Stevens Aero model kits. They have a complete instruction guide. They have the project checklist for the kit contents, special electronics, required building items, and so forth. But the real benefit, and this comes with the kit, is they have each step by step, a little checkbox, and corresponding to each number, step 1, step 2, step 3, they have a picture of how it all goes together. And the markings of the formers, in this case, F1 and F2, they are matched onto the balsa. It just couldn't be any easier for assembling the kit. Just everything is there step by step. There are no full-size plans for the QuickOats because the kit is so precisely designed with its laser design and laser cutting of the balsa. It goes together like a jigsaw puzzle. They do include, in this case, a little addendum. This is the landing gear detail. the vertical tail surfaces, the horizontal tail surfaces, just to help you out. And also, to show you your attention to detail, these are actually the paper patterns that you can put for the monocoat to get the distinctive side covering of the model. I think we'll go ahead and do that just to match up with that. So these is what comes in the bag with the kit. They have the windshield located here. These are the plywood parts, very good balsa, laser cutting, F12. All the names of it are very clearly posted on there. Some spare parts with tail joiners, rubber bands, screws. And this is the balsa wood, very high quality balsa wood. Again, all clearly marked. And to show you their attention to detail, on the bottom, this is a music wire, and the music wire covering that is all just taped there for your access for the kit. So again, very complete to kit. What I'd like to do now is just go through the extra stuff that you need to build this model. And this is all listed here. We'll just go through everything. We need a transmitter with at least 3 channels. We'll use my DX6 transmitter for that. We need a micro receiver with at least 3 channels. This is the 4-channel Spektrum AR610, just a standard little receiver there. We need 2 HS35 or 55 servos. These are 2 high-tech HS55 servos. And again, I got the servos, many of these parts, off the Stevens Aero website. I got this from Stevens, the Sport 250 motor. This came off the website. You'll find availability is hit or miss these days with the supply chains from China. This is being filmed in October 2021. What you need is just an electric motor that will fly a 5 to 6 ounce model. Any electric motor will do. We need an electronic speed control. They have a 10 amp. I have a Castle Talon 15 amp. This is what I'll use for the electronic speed control. We need a propeller 6x3. Again, I bought this off the Stevens Aero website. That'll be fine. Prop adapter I bought off the website here. And we need 1 1.5 inch wheels, which are located right here. Now, the one thing to keep in mind for any electronic speed control and motor, you have to connect the two. Recall with the electronic speed control, it's standard. You have a connection to the receiver. This goes into port number 1, black, the dark wire towards the bottom of the receiver. The 3 wires that come out here go to the 3 wires in the motor. You will have to add the bullet connectors from the motor to the electronic speed control. I've already done this with the heat shrink tubing. What you just do from Amazon, you buy a package of bullet connectors. These are 2mm bullet connectors. They simply go in like this is how they connect. You solder one wire here, solder the other wire here, and that's how these connect to the electronic speed control for the motor. And then the other thing is you've got to connect the electronic speed control to the battery. Again, from Amazon, I buy a package of the JST connectors for these smaller models. This is what it looks like with a male and female. And you just take one wire end and connect it to electronic speed control, the other one to the battery, and then you have your battery connection. So in a nutshell, those are all the components we need for this model, the kit, and what we can do now is start with, and then the other supplies I have are standard things like glue, hobby knives, items of that nature. Again, you should have all this in your shop anyhow. So a very complete kit, that's the unboxing, and now we can go ahead with step 1 of building the fuselage. We've completed all the soldering and connection work with the radio for the QuickOats. I always think it's a good idea to test all the electronic components, the motor, to make sure everything works, the engine goes in the right direction before we install into the airplane. It just makes a lot of sense to do that. So again, to review, we have our 2 servos, we have the receiver, and the electronic speed control is plugged into the number 1 port. Number 2 is rudder, number 3 is elevator. The electronic speed control is connected to the motor. I have put in the motor mount from Stevens Aero. It works absolutely fine. I've installed the plastic motor mount that will go to the fuselage. So this is the little 2-cell battery that is recommended. This is a Thunderpower 325 2-cell lipo battery. And so what I'll do now is we'll go ahead and plug it in. Remember, always with batteries, the polarity is important. Red to red, black to black. These should be unable to go in the wrong direction. So everything's plugged in. And now what we'll do is we'll turn on our transmitter with the model selected. Make sure the throttle is all the way down. And notice when in this particular setup, the Spektrum DX6 transmitter, the Spektrum AR610 receiver, a light comes on, you'll hear a beep every now and then just to warn you if it's set up at the field and it is powered on. So we'll try the two servos, elevator up and down, rudder left and right, so that works fine. And what I'll do is I'll hold this motor here, and you see the engine works fine and the propeller is going in the correct direction. So everything is set for installation in the aircraft. The one thing I want to point out with these motor connectors, when I originally plugged it all in, the motor went backwards. For any brushless motor, all you have to do if it's going in the wrong direction is swap any two wires. It doesn't matter which one, and that will reverse the direction of the motors. It's just the way that these things are set up. And what I do is I make a little diagram with the electronic speed control, the motor, and the colors of the wire. So when I reconnect them in the airplane, I can easily go black to black, red to white, and so forth to get the proper rotation of the motor. So that is, everything works. You can see that here. Now we just have to build the model, install everything with confidence that all the electronics work. We can take a look at the kit contents. I've built numerous kits from Stevens Aero. The balsa is absolute top quality. You can see the names of each part is etched onto the wood. You don't have to worry about losing it. The parts pretty much just fall out of the sheet. They're just extremely good laser cutting. Here's another view of the instruction manual. Just, fit F2 to whatever part. Each step has a photo illustration that will guide you through the assembly of that section. It's just literally step by step. It's like putting together a jigsaw puzzle. So here's another view of a fuselage assembly, a little bit complicated with the various formers, but notice you can see the holes. This is what it looks like as you build it. Notice on this former, it has top TOP on it to double check that you have the top of the fuselage in the proper place. This is half the fuselage done with the servo tray, some formers onto one side of the fuselage. You can see the tabs where all the formers fit in for accurate alignment. And again, there's that part we did previously with the top listed on the former. The plywood firewall for the engine's put in place. You can see the hole where the wires go through that'll go inside the fuselage. And the mount that is recommended by Stevens Aero fits well with that. Here's a fuselage, one half done. You can see the extreme down thrust of the firewall that's built into the model. That's the way it should be. And the other side will just plug into the notches and you glue it in place. The front part of the fuselage is done at this point, and we'll pull the tail together and you'll get the correct alignment by the top section of the tail that just glues in place. Nothing special about the vertical and horizontal control surfaces. They're just parts that come out from the die cutting. You actually do have this full-size plan. Stevens provides you for the stab rudder, elevator, and fin. You just glue it in place like any other model, and it comes out just fine. So here's the pretty much completed fuselage with the tail surfaces ready to go together. Made good progress on the QuickOats today. I'd like to get you up to speed where we are. This is about a little over half day's worth of work. So here's the fuselage. It just follows the plan, goes together very well. All the parts fit, no problem. I did make one slight change from the directions that I'll share with you. And what happens is there's always a little bit of a challenge fitting in the servos. So I had to cut out the square just a little bit to a pre-marked position for my HS55 servos. And I screwed one in place. I'll do the other one tomorrow. The reason I did this now is the directions have you put on the top and the entire bottom. I just have a hard time reaching the control horn tubing when the bottom is covered. I learned that from my Guilos conversions. You've got to put on the top to bring the tail together to close it towards the end. This is the top of the stabilizer, no problem there. The top for the wing is fine, but I left this whole bottom section open. These parts will go here. There's another one that'll go up here, and then there'll be a removable hatch here for the battery that I'll work on that tomorrow. So the servos went in fine. I put in these rods while this is open, so that went fine. The other thing I did for the servos to connect the control wires, this is the wire. This is a little Dubro Mini Easy connector. It's very easy to use. You just have this little set screw up here, and then you can adjust the wire back and forth for the control surface. So I find those pretty handy for a model like this. Also, the directions are pretty good about cutting off the servo arms so they don't hit each other, because the servos are going to be right next to each other in the fuselage. So that's kind of the thing that's a little bit tricky putting in. The receiver, electronic speed control, no problem. As I showed you with the motor, will fit on just fine here with the screw holes. The wires will go through there for the motor to the electronic speed control. So all that's in pretty good shape. This is the slot for the landing gear. There should be no problems with that. The tail surfaces just couldn't be much easier. You build them directly over this detail of the plan. They actually do give you a plan for the tail surfaces. Just the numbered parts just go right in place. And we'll sand these up tomorrow, bevel the edges of the elevator and rudder so they can go down. Finish up the fuselage, do the hatch, do the wing, and then we can move on from there. Just one other thing to keep in mind, there are a couple of plywood parts, 1/16 inch plywood, so it's a mixture of the balsa and ply. Sometimes the directions don't mention ply. If you have a problem finding F1 or whatever part you're looking for, it could be on the ply sheet. So I think this is where we are right now. It's a cute little model, going together just fine, and we will continue with the wing and the bottom of the fuselage tomorrow. Making good progress on the QuickOats. The fuselage is complete. You can see that I've put in the second set of servos. The top is in place for the fuselage, as well as the indications for the bottom. The bottom is important because that brings the taper back to the fuselage, keeps everything in line. As I mentioned, this was open to put in the push rods. I think it's easy to do that way. Little plywood holder and the rare earth magnet for the latch. This is the latch right here with the lip, and the other magnet. The two magnets come with the kit. Remember, these magnets have to be aligned for the attraction. If they're the opposite way, they repel each other. So you just have to check that before you put it in. It takes a little bit of fitting to get it in, but this is the hatch. The latch goes in here, and listen. So that's a good fit right there for the hatch. This is pretty common with the Stevens Aeros kits. So fuselage is in good shape. The motor will be put in here later and so forth. We have started with the wing. Just wanted to show you this is how it goes together. There are no plans for the wing. It just builds like a little puzzle with step-by-step instructions. It's absolutely crucial as you build the wing has to be flat. There can be no warps in the wing whatsoever. So what I do is I take this flat building board, and as I put together the pieces and I tack glue them, I just make sure everything is absolutely flat on the building board. It's flat on each half because of the dihedral that is built into the forward and aft spars. So we'll take a break for now, continue up the wing, and this is where we are so far. A nice big wing for this airplane. I think it'll fly well. I've completed building the framework for the QuickOats. The wing is complete, and it went together like the other portions of the model. Everything fit in well, glued together. The directions are very comprehensive. I've sanded it so we have a leading edge shape. The dihedral is built into the wing spar, so that happens automatically. And so now this is all set for covering. So the next step on the model will be to cover the model. To cover this model, we're going to use a iron-on covering. So what I'm using here is Microlite. I picked two colors, the yellow and the red. This happens to be a transparent color, which is fine for these models. You can kind of see through it. The other type is opaque. The iron-on coverings are universally used. If you've never done them before, virtually everybody who builds models is able to use the iron-on coverings. And what will happen is you'll have the covering, and there is a plastic protective covering on back. You peel it off. I'll show that in a moment. And then with an iron, you put the hot iron on the top. It activates a glue adhesive on the back that binds it to the balsa wood. no odors, it goes on fine. Once everything's in place, you heat it again and it shrinks up, and I'll show that here in a second. The important thing with the coverings are there are two types of iron-on coverings. There's a regular monocoat, which is for larger size models, but then they've developed a lightweight covering, and it goes by various names. It could be Park Light, it could be Aero Light, it could be Econocoat. Generally speaking, if you see the word light, L-I-T-E, in the name, it's a very lightweight coating. It's ideal for park flyers like the QuickOats, but it would not be strong enough for a heavier model. If you put the regular monocoat on the park flyers, very heavy covering, and it shrinks so much it might actually damage the structure, so you have to have a light covering. So in the directions for the QuickOats, with all the 75 steps or so, there's one step on covering. It says, cover your model in a durable, lightweight covering material. We suggest Stevens Aero Model Aero Light. So you can get Aero Light on the Stevens website. You may have to hunt around for it a little bit. Amazon, Horizon Hobby, Stevens Aero, you'll eventually find it. Get a couple rolls if you can, just to have it in your inventory. I'll be using Coverite Microlight. I got this a while back. All the coverings have extensive directions in there on how to do it. It's really not that hard, but they set iron temperatures, everything you need to know to iron on. So what I'd like to do now is just give a quick demonstration of covering one surface of the tail. So this is the horizontal tails, the stabilizer for the QuickOats, and I just cut out a piece of covering about the size of the stabilizer here. So we'd have to have one piece for this and another piece on the other side. I'll just do one piece for this demonstration. It's a little bit of a tricky thing, but you've got to pull back the protective coating on the adhesive side. What I've found is it varies with the different types of covering. A very good technique is you take a piece of Scotch tape and you put it outside so the adhesive is on the outside. You put that to the film side and it's easier to pull off. And what will happen is you'll see on the very edge there's a blank area. That is a good delineation between the film and the covering. So with this covering here, I have the back and you can see how it just peels off. So this is the covering we throw away. This is the adhesive side that goes to the wood. We iron on this side. If you get it backwards, the minute your iron touches this, you'll see that it's sticky and you've got the wrong side. So we'll peel this off, keep track of the sticky side, and we simply lay that over the piece that we want to cover. And I'll take off the tape right here. We can overlap it a little bit on the side. This is a standard ironing iron for models coverings. You can get it anywhere. We just kind of touch it to keep it loosely over the stab. I can cover this with the other side on there. So now it is, with that little bit of heat, it's stuck on there fairly well. What we'll do is we'll turn it upside down. A very sharp X-Acto 11 blade. I just go around the outside. And that's what it looks like. So now we're going to take the iron, and with a little bit more application, the heat is set here at about, it's about 230 degrees. Like it a little bit hot, if anything. And we just seal it all along the edges like this. So we just go all around the piece. And with the heat, it activates the adhesive on the back. This is all in place. Now notice it's a little bit loose. We put it on fairly carefully. We'll just put this down a little bit stronger here on the edges. And what we do is we take a heat gun. Again, this is a standard modeling heat gun that I've had for probably about 30 years. We have it on the hot setting. We're just going to shrink it and kind of angle it to the light to watch it shrink. As you hold it into light, you can see that it's just drum tight there, basically. And we just do the same for the back, and that's how you cover the various pieces. So I've done the rudder here, both sides, the elevator, both sides, the vertical fin to be done. And then to do the fuselage of the wing, it's just, you do it piece by piece on the side, the bottom, etc., until you get the entire unit covered with your heat shrink covering. If you make a mistake, you simply pull it off and you can try again. Here's a look at the model that's been covered with the some of the tail surfaces epoxied into place. Again, coming right along with the covering. You can see the elevator and rudder. The control horns are provided by Aero from the balsa. Fits right into the slot. You can see the servos with the Dubro keepers on the back for easy adjustment of the control rods. I like the control rods to be a little bit longer here. I'll trim them to fit as we fit in the overlapping control rod for the elevators once the elevators and rudder are put on with masking tape hinges. You can see the motor is screwed into place. And as we go towards the back of the airplane, the top is all covered. And you can see Z-bends for the music wire that goes into the control horns. They overlap with the music wire coming out from the servo. There's some shrink tape that shrinks in place with epoxy to keep it perfectly adjusted. And that's a neat, easy way for these smaller models to set your control horns and throws. I've completed the QuickOats. Here it is. The weight came out at 6.5 ounces, so that's within the range. I think it came out pretty good. Everything went well according to the plans. See the landing gear is glued in. These are the wheels that I bought. We'll take off the hatch. The battery is located right here. The receiver, electronic speed control, and then the two servos you can kind of sort of see through the top of the wing. Very important, of course, to make sure that the model balances correctly. Per the directions, it balances right behind, or right at the, slightly behind the wing spar. So we'll hold it here at the wing spar, and that's a good balance there. So we're all set to go. The battery I use is a 2-cell lipo. It's a Thunderpower 325, and that fits in well into the fuselage and balances it out. So let's turn on the transmitter, make sure the throttle's low. There's up elevator, down, left, right, and the little motor gives plenty of thrust. All the details are in the description. So I think that'll work out well for the flight. The weather looks pretty good at the field tomorrow, so we'll give it out for a test flight. The one thing that caught me a little bit by surprise, you can see the amount of down thrust of the motor. That is built into the model. You can see the slots in the fuselage where the firewall went in. That's a lot of down thrust. Aero designs this well. I think with a larger wing, it kind of produces a lot of lift, so we need some down thrust. As I said with the Aero, there's no plans for these kits, so I can't look at a plan to show you where the firewall should be. We'll just have to assume that everything works out okay with that. So everything is in good shape. The model balances out. There's no warps in the wing, plenty of power. We'll just hope for calm winds for our test flight tomorrow. Okay, we're out here at the field for the first flight, maiden flight of the QuickOats. Looks like a perfect day with the wind. Sun's a little low in the sky. It's coming up in November, but that's okay. So everything's in order. Here's the airplane. Put on the rubber bands. Batteries in place. We'll take a look at the controls. Elevator, rudder, and the throttle. So what I think I'll do for this takeoff is I've decided to take off on the ground. That can go a couple of different ways depending how straight the landing gear is. I think I'll try it. Remember, there's no serial tail wheel, so what my plan is to apply pretty much full throttle to get flying, so we don't worry about S-turns on takeoff. If that doesn't work, we'll do a hand launch. So wish me luck. This is no kidding. The first flight, there was plenty of power. You can see it jumped right off. Perfect weather for a flight. I could tell right when it took off. It was very positive control. It would be a well-handling model. This is the second flight. I'm a little bit more comfortable with it, so I'm going to keep this flight, try to keep it between 10 and 20 feet altitude, circle around so we're close to the camera. I'm probably at about half throttle here. There's just plenty of throttle and just a very smooth, comfortable feel to the model as it's flying around. I really can't say enough good things about the handling qualities of this model. It's just one of my favorite aircraft to fly. So we just finished the maiden flight and the second one with the QuickOats. You can see the video. I couldn't be any happier with this airplane. It flew perfectly. It took off, and the moment it took off, you could just tell with certain aircraft it's going to handle well. It was, as the old expression goes, it's an honest airplane. There was no trim required. It turned well. There was plenty of rudder throw. The elevator was fine. Tons of throttle. I was flying in probably about half throttle most of the flight. Even the landing worked out well. So incredibly pleased with the handling and flight performance of this little model, the QuickOats. There's nothing I can say against it. So if you decide to build one, good luck. I think you'll be pleased. I will look forward to flying this many more times.